in studio with Green Party candidate Jazmine Raine. Jazmine, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here, and as a candidate and someone new to politics, so we're going to take this opportunity to learn a little bit about you and a little bit about the Green Party. But first off, just let our audience know how you came to be in Peterborough. Then we're going to talk a bit about how you may be from Peterborough. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about how you got involved in politics.
Yeah, certainly. I'm not from Peterborough. I'm from Toronto and then Durham region, but I came to Peterborough for college in 2007 or 2008. I have family here, so it was a natural decision to come to Peterborough, and I just loved it. I moved back to Toronto for some of my 20s and came back as an adult to pursue an undergraduate degree at Trent when I was probably 28, 29, and went away for my master's at Wilfrid Laurier, and now I'm back for my doctorate. So I have family here. I love it here.
So Peterborough just keeps drawing you back.
Yeah.
And that is a familiar story. People come here, they go to college or university and find a reason to stay. And what actually are you doing for a living? Are you still involved with the university?
Yes, I'm involved with the university. So I'm a SSHRC-funded doctoral student. So I won a major external award that funds my studies until 2027, which I'm very grateful for. I also work as a research assistant, as a teaching assistant. I teach pottery at Gather Studio on Charlotte and also at the Portha Potters Guild. Yeah, I have my hands in a few different pots.
You know, in the provincial election, every candidate was a Trent grad. And you are a Trent grad or just working on that?
Trent grad as well.
Okay,
yes.
Very good. And speaking of Trent, and when we think of Trent, we do think green, not because of the party, because that's the school colors. And what got you into politics? How did you? And I know your green candidacy was the only sort of contested one here locally in the Peterborough riding. We're now in Peterborough riding. Tell us how that came about. How did you indicate that you were interested, or did someone reach out to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've always been interested in politics, to answer your earlier question, and I have an undergraduate degree in political studies, and I'm an intensely political person, and I'm very engaged in the world around me and the communities around me, so that's natural. I've done some work at various not-for-profits and have some professional connections with folks that are already working with the Green Party in headquarters, and so they reached out to me asking if I might be interested in running now instead of in 4 years, which was my original plan. Yeah. And I'm a very busy person, and I wasn't sure if that was the right thing immediately, but the more I reflected on the fact that this is the time for momentous change, this is the time for people that are bold and assertive to get into leadership. I think that there's quite a lot of passivity in some of these spaces, and it seems like an important time. So I said yes, I filed my paperwork, I became the acclaimed candidate for the area. Obviously, there was another candidate that was interested who had done a lot of legwork and has a lot of connections. And then in the name of electoral urgency, after a nomination meeting was canceled in the 11th hour, I was acclaimed as the Green Party candidate.
Okay.
So here I am.
Great. Yeah, we did have Lucas on for the provincial party, and we asked him a few questions. The provincial party, federal parties, they're not always the same. The one thing you do share, though, is it's tough to get seats and votes,
yes.
So it's an uphill climb. But what do you like about the Green Party? What was the most compelling reason you wanted to run for the Green as opposed to another party?
Yes, absolutely. I've been a lifelong Green voter. I was raised by Green voters. I've always really seen the Green Party as it is. I think it's a tired narrative that the Green Party is a one-issue party. And it really aligns with a lot of my own axiological or ethical commitments, and that they really orient towards radical change, social justice, environmental protection. These are things that I really believe in and things that I stand for.
And uniquely, the Green Party has co-leaders. So tell me a bit about Elizabeth May and I just learned today, Jonathan Pedno. Tell me a bit about your leaders and what you admire about them.
Yes, well, I haven't met either of them personally, but I have been following their respective careers. I think Elizabeth May is a fantastic orator, and that is something I know a lot of politicians that have been doing it for a long time have developed that capacity, but early speeches of hers, she really is quite consistent with many of her commitments, which I appreciate in a leader, and she doesn't, I guess, waffle in some of her political commitments. Obviously, there's always room for us to grow as people and politicians and leaders and come to new knowledges, and I do see that happening with her, and I appreciate that in a leader. And I believe Jonathan Pedno, having not met him, worked in a number of different countries as a reporter and journalist. And it seems that he brings a deep and abiding commitment also to equity and justice, and that he is really, really willing to stand up and say the hard things. And I think that that is often lacking.
All right. And Elizabeth, yeah, she was very vocal with the trade issues going on with the U.S. and as have politicians across the board, which has been a positive thing with the Green Party. But just remind us, environment's big. I know there were some other issues to do with economics, but tell us about what is the platform that makes you different from, say, the NDP party?
Yeah, that's a strong question, because a lot of people don't necessarily see those differences unless they're looking in very clearly. The Green Party is looking at massive structural reform, massive tax reform, universal basic income, making it so that housing can no longer be commodified in the way that it has been commodified, right? Really understanding the ways that some of the inequities that we're seeing and some of the social issues that we are seeing are imbricated in systems of power and dominance or hegemony, and looking to start to disrupt these systems rather than tweak and make changes here, which I think that the NDP does a little bit more tweaking, and the Green Party is more about radical change, which I think is scary for some people. But that's something that I like.
Well, that's good. You want to have that attitude for sure. You know, and running, I gotta say, being a candidate in the Green Party, when you've got right now, it's a neck and neck with the Liberals, Conservatives, the same parties that have been there for a long time, and some big changes there, and the fact that it is close. What's it like on the campaign trail when you're knocking on doors or meeting with people, knowing that it's a bit of an uphill climb to get recognition for the party? What's a typical interaction you have with a voter?
Well, everybody right now is concerned about a wasted vote. People are really concerned with strategic voting, and I think that that is the conversation that I'm having most. And for me, it involves spending a lot more time than you might typically spend with somebody, and really approaching people's concerns with a deep sense of curiosity and a real commitment to knowing that this person has this whole lived experience that I don't have access to. And because there is a bit of an uphill climb, or maybe because people are recognizing that, they seem to be more generous and really willing to have those conversations. And one of the biggest things that people are concerned about is electoral reform, feeling like there's going to be a wasted vote. And that is a big part of the Green Party's platform that I stand for. So it's really generative and productive to be having these conversations, and it feels like a real privilege to be in these spaces. Like, you could look at it as an uphill climb, or you could look at it as an opportunity to really dig in with people and to be curious and to start to affect change on an individual scale, knowing that everyone's going to talk to the people around them, and that sometimes talking to someone who's not politically engaged in a way that's non-threatening and really open will allow them to feel confident seeking out some of these answers for themselves in new ways.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting with the last government, people kind of forgot, maybe, I'm sure the Conservative Party didn't forget, but it was a coalition. And so the NDP party, although not elected, had a lot of influence on decisions are made, and I'm assuming that's how the Green Party could see it having a path forward to make some change, or talking individually. I don't know. I know, of course, you'd like to elect a prime minister that's yours, but I guess it has to be incremental when it happens. So what? You're very quick election. You haven't had to campaign for a year.
No. Yeah.
We'll have a vote in a few weeks, and depending if people are watching this, it could be even sooner. What should you not be elected as the next MP for Peterborough riding? And I like to say I'm glad it's that simple name of Peterborough, even though it covers the region. And you've mentioned some of the things you're doing, and what ultimately, when you have your doctorate, and we'll have to call you doctor in 4 years if you run again, if you're not elected, what will you do with that doctorate? What are your ultimate plans?
Oh my gosh, that's such a big question.
I didn't give you a heads up on that one, so we only have 10 minutes.
I get that question all the time. It's a really reasonable question. I think that at the very outset of all of this, it's not about my ego. It's not about me at all. And I really recognize the limitations of my capacities and my knowledges. And every year, I'm learning at an exponential rate every year, like everybody does. So I would love to say that in 4 years, I'm going to be doing these things with my doctorate, but really it's going to be however I can mobilize my resources and my knowledge and my social capital in service of my community is what I'm going to be doing. So it may look like writing policy. It may look like running again and again and again. It may look like going for a shadow cabinet minister position. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm open.
So you're committed to being a politician at this stage of the game?
I mean, it's always been something that I knew I was going to do. It was always a matter of when. And so I may be getting into it a little bit earlier than I thought that I would be getting into it.
But
I'm happy to be doing
it's giving you some experience.
Yeah.
I guess the next question would be, if this doesn't work out, it's 4 years till the next election at least. There will be not a provincial election, but municipal. Is that something you'd consider?
It's not that I wouldn't consider it. I don't know if running municipally is the right thing for me at this time, but I have spoken with Lucas, who and some other politicians locally who are thinking that they may be running in the municipal election, and have indicated my willingness to support them and to find ways to help, I guess, use some of my institutional knowledge to support their campaigns and to make sure they're getting as much reach as possible, to make their platforms as accessible as possible through better knowledge mobilization practices. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, hey, and speaking of Lucas, your campaign team, do you have a team, and who would be involved in that?
No, I don't have a campaign team right now. I have two very strong and wonderful volunteers that came forward to help me out, which has been invaluable. And I've had some support from other candidates who have also been sharing lots of information. And Lucas has sent me some good tips along the way. But it's just me knocking on doors.
And are you enjoying it? Are you having fun with this now that you're taking your political science degree while you're doing all these other things and turning it into, hey, this is the real world politics? Are you actually enjoying it in this few short weeks you've had to experience it?
So much more than I thought that I would, actually. Yeah, for me, I don't have any conversation that isn't political. I don't know how to do that. And it's really wonderful to be in a space where that's kind of expected to be having conversations about politics all the time, and to be talking to people that are willing to engage with you in that way, and getting to talk about things that I really care about, that I think more of us need to be thinking about. So it's a profound privilege, and it's been quite fun, actually. And I'm looking forward to the debates, and it's been great to get to know. I had lunch with Heather and her team yesterday, and that was really, really nice. And
it's good. Yeah, it's good to see the collaboration, and certainly we have a debate candidates meeting on your TV. We're looking forward to that, and people will be able to see that. You have the connection to Trent University, and you have students and colleagues. Do you campaign one-on-one with those folks? No, you separate church and state there?
I wonder if it's a separation of church and state, or just a real awareness of like asymmetrical power dynamics, and wanting to make sure that I'm acting in ways that are very ethical, that doesn't compromise anybody's comfort, specifically students. So I'm not doing any campaigning on campus. I'm not going to book launches and trying to push my candidacy, though just throughout the years, I think that you do build name recognition, and you build relationships, and hopefully you build some kind of feeling of competency where people trust you, and then they know how you move in policy spaces and decision-making spaces, leadership roles. So I'm kind of banking in this moment on the fact that my past actions and my current roles at the university will lend themselves to that. With more time, if it wasn't the end of the term, I would be looking to collaborate with the political studies department to have an all candidates open Q&A with the first year political studies class.
What a great opportunity that would be.
Absolutely. And I know they've tried to do that in the past. They don't always get buy-in from all of the candidates, which has been, I think, frustrating for the chair of the department and some of the professors. Not to speak for them, this is just what I know from my time as a student.
Speaking of time, we're out of it.
Okay.
Jazmine, great to get to know you. We'll have you back on, and all the best on the campaign trail. And thank you for watching us. We'll see you next time on Your Vote.